So raise your hand if you have dealt with a student mental health crisis this year. And I'm having a hard time to see. First of you, those who did not raise your hand, I want your phone number because we have dealt with it nonstop, it seems like, for the past 3 years. And keep your hand up if you question your own sanity as a result of all those student mental health crises. Yep, I have too. And I can't help you with that one, but hopefully we'll help you with the first one. The reason we're here today is because 2 years ago, I was, and it was hard to do this, but I was watching, I heard through the grapevine that there was a suicide in the district about 3 miles away from us. And the suicide, it hit me because the kid was my daughter's age. And having to deal with that really made it tough because that could be her, that could be whatever it is. And it could have been anyone, it could be in any community. So what I did was I contacted my next door neighbor, who at the time was the chairperson for the Allegan Mental Health. And I said, what kind of resources can you provide? And as like any chairperson of mental health, they say, not much. And he goes, but I need to put you in touch with Frank Mumford. And Frank has been a godsend for our school and with that. So for the past 1.5 years, Frank has come in with his people, and what they do is they brought a program in called Ending the Silence through NAMI. And what it is a program that is geared for students in college that are dealing with a mental illness, and they come and speak to high schoolers, and they talk about what they have done to overcome and thrive with the mental illness, and it starts a lot of time in high school. So we've had every single one of our freshmen for the past 2 years get this program. And I don't want to steal Frank's thunder, but it's a free program, and it already has saved one life. After the kids spoke, they brought up, and one of our students came up and said, I was going to kill myself tonight. So it's an extremely powerful program, and I let Frank talk to you about the rest of it, but I couldn't let it go without talking about this. So
thanks, sir. Stigma's killing our kids. In 2014, it almost killed mine. Brittany was a top-level student. She was, like these kids, #1 in high school. And she graduated at a high level from college. She entered Seattle Pacific and ended up getting a position as an intern with one of the largest insurance companies in Seattle called Primera. She worked really hard, and she ended up being a mid-level actuarial by the time she was 26 years old, handling 3 of the largest hospitals in Seattle, Washington. She decided she had worked hard, she saved a lot of money, so she wanted to travel. But with Brittany, nothing was easy. Her traveling, we thought would be a month to 2 months. She ended up going to South America. She ended up in Peru climbing a volcano called Pucan. I don't know if it was in the news. That volcano just blew up in May of this year. You had to wear a gas mask to get to the top of the volcano. She went to the Himalayas and she took a job in a heliski company. Well, they paid her by giving her room and board and then allowing her to fly in a helicopter to the top of the Himalayas. The town was Kashmir, and they're on the border of Pakistan and India. So she flew in a helicopter to the top of the Himalayas. You had to come down by a guide. We saw some of these guides, and they had climbed Mount Everest more than 5 times. My brother saw one of them, and he said, I know that guy, he climbed Mount Everest 10 times. She then went to the Annapurna Circle for a hike. Well, a hike for me is like going to McDonald's for a senior coffee. For her, it was a trek in Nepal with Sherpas for a month, okay? She was an adventurous kid, and she was always that way. But she was the type of kid that when she had dreams, she could make those dreams into a reality. So we were really happy after 2 years of this. She was coming home, she was gonna get a job and settle down, we hoped. And I said to celebrate, I was gonna plan a bike trip. Her brother was getting married, so we were gonna take a bike ride up through the UP. It's gonna be about a 7-day bike trip, and into Minnesota. And she was on her way back, and she was actually going through Calcutta, which we thought was a little weird, but she loved India, and she'd never been there before. So I was watching, I'll never forget the night, it was April 7th, I was watching the NCAA championship game. It was number 7 UConn playing number 8 Kentucky, 2014. It was the first time that a championship game had been played without a 1, 2, or 3 seed. So my wife brings me over the phone and she said, Calcutta's on the line and Brittany's there, the embassy in Calcutta. And I said, I thought it was a prank call. And I said, well, give me the phone. I got on the phone and they put Brittany on the line and she said, Dad, I'm hearing everybody's from the devil and they're trying to kill me. I realized this was no joke after a couple minutes and my dad mode kicked in. So we immediately scheduled her to fly back that night. Unfortunately, she had other plans. The embassy was kind enough to send somebody to follow her to the airport because we had booked her a flight. She thought that they were following her to kill her, and she paid the cabbie to lose them, and she disappeared into Calcutta. Over the next couple days, she was lost and found numerous times. She ended up in Mother Teresa's convent, where the nuns actually took her off the streets and saved her life. A day later, she ended up trying to kill herself on a palm tree. The psychosis that was ravaging her had made her believe she was Jesus, and she beat her head on a palm tree and scraped her arms. It was terrible. By now, the police had leaked this news to the press, and she ended up being front page news in Calcutta. Washington, D.C. contacted me and said this was a borderline international incident, and they wanted me in Calcutta now. So I went to Calcutta, walked in there, and what started on a Friday, started on a Monday, ended up on a Friday with me walking into my daughter's bedroom, or my daughter's hospital room, and it was a hospital that they used nylons to hold her down with restraints. Her arms had been stripped of the skin because it had cut through her arms trying to get up. I crawled into bed with her and held her, and she was unrecognizable from all the self-inflicted injuries that she had done to herself. I found out at that time that this whole situation had started years before, when she was 14 years old. She told me that because of stigma and because of the attitude toward mental health, she never talked to anybody at that time, and it almost took her life. So it's very interesting, but if we look at something, if we take this side of the room and everybody stands up on this side of the room from here on over, just stand up for me, would you please? Okay. If you look at this, the people that are over here, this represents approximately 1 in 5. 1 in 5 kids or youth, thanks guys, you can sit down. 1 in 5 youth in America are dealing with mental issues right now. Out of those kids, ages 14, at 14, 50% of them will have a lifelong mental illness that will present. Between 14 and 24, because this is the developmental years, set up at age 24, 75% of the kids that are going to be dealing with mental illness will have had it present. Okay? Here's the problem. Diagnosis generally takes 8 to 10 years, with 50% of these kids not getting diagnosed, like my daughter. And what happens to those 50%? They end up in jail, they end up with either in the streets or suicide. And it's terrible to even think about. 70% of the juvenile homes currently house kids that are mentally there because of mental illness, 20% because of severe mental illness. 37% of the kids 14 years and older that drop out of high school, 37% are mentally ill. It's the largest disability group that drops out of high school that there is. It's also, we talked about suicide earlier. So suicide is something that is the third leading cause of death for this age group. It causes more death in young adults than cancer, heart disease, AIDS, birth defects, stroke, pneumonia, influenza, chronic lung disease combined. Kills more kids, suicide, than all those combined. Suicide, 90% of the kids that decide to take their life by suicide have an underlying mental health issue. 17, this is the thing that got me, 17% of the kids that are in high school are actually thinking about suicide as an option in any given year, 17%. So I really believe, for me personally as a parent and for you as administrators, it's our responsibility to do something about this. This has got to change. Ending the Silence, as Jeremy had talked about, is a program that changes attitude for kids. It changes their attitudes, and it also helps them to understand that mental illness is a physical illness, and physical illnesses can be treated. Okay, that's the truth. If one of your students broke a leg or broke an arm, you take them to the hospital. Yet there's thousands of kids that have mental illness every year that don't get treated. The program that we talked about, as Jeremy said, is free. I know he said free a couple times, so I don't have to say it again. But it's a free program. It's 50 minutes. We take it into a classroom in the mental health classes, and it really connects and helps kids understand. I go in, I'm one of the presenters, and then we bring a young adult in. Usually it's a college kid who's actually got a mental health condition. They go through and they talk about their mental health condition, and they talk about their road to recovery. This really opens up a lot of dots. It connects the dots for the kids, and they really feel free and good about opening up about their problems. The program has been tested by NAMI throughout the country. It's been tested in numerous states, and it does a great job of being highly effective at getting these kids to understand and be more connected to mental health. So we've got a program that we've put out on your tables. And this was there before. This is actually something that will help you. Inside of this, there's a lot of information for you about the students and what they're going to be dealing with mental health. On the back, there is a website, okay? This website is something that you can connect to and possibly get information to take this life-changing program back to each and every one of your schools. I mean, that's what we would like to see. So this is what we've given to you. We appreciate your time. We know you guys are really busy. We don't want to give you more to do, but we really feel it's important that we all work together and to put a society of kids together that are well-versed at ending the silence and the stigma of mental illness. We are outside if you have any other questions at a table. Thank you.